So welcome to the more advanced tutorial on using the canvas. Please take a look at the basic tutorial on the canvas just to get used to the basic features. So we're just going to go through some of the more advanced features. And one thing, as we see here, we have a canvas which comes with the Lego demo project, which has two sorts of representations. And we get an idea of how to produce these sorts of nodes here as well as these nodes. An idea of how to change different aspects or settings of connecting lines and the nodes themselves, and how to use the filtering and the sorting over here. But first we'll start off with settings. If we look up here on settings, after we've chosen a DOTEbase, settings are the general settings, so you can see general and default edge. This is for, if I just click on the general first, these are the settings for this particular DOTEbase canvas. So here you can see a style. I've chosen crosses. I could have chosen dots, lines, or none, so I'm just using crosses. And then the scale, if I change the scale here, then it will change how much gap there is between each of these crosses. The minimap that's down here on the left, I can say whether I want that to be visible. Sorry, the minimap here on the right is visible, pannable, zoomable. For example, you might not wish to be able to zoom, pan. I have everything set on here, and the controls are down here on the left about what's is it visible and is it interactive, can you show fit view, show zoom. So some of these can be removed if you wish, and if you save that, then that will be true. The default edge is when you make an edge, you see a connecting line here, then what sorts of background color or font color do you want on a label for one of these? Do you want a connecting line, or how do you want the style or the color? Is it animated or not? And these are animated. What sort of scale size is the connecting line? And do you want markers? Do you want some sort of arrow at the end or the beginning? This is a closed arrow at the end, no start style, and a certain color, a red, and size 16. So there are many aspects of a default edge, and then you can tailor each edge yourself. You can decide, I want a particular edge to have a different combination, and we'll see that will appear over here for the particular connecting line or node settings. So these are defaults that will apply, and then you can change those on a case-by-case basis. So those are the settings which you can change, and I have them set as they are, as you just saw. What we can do is just maybe move over to here, so we have a little space to mess around and see some aspects. For example, if I just take one of these and drag it on, and then we'll just zoom in a bit so we can see this one. And if I click on this, what you'll see is once the node is connected and we can see particular information about it, is up here we see the node settings. It has a shape, and I've chosen arrow rectangle. There are these different shapes that I could choose. There's not too many shapes available, but there are some different types of shapes. An icon, and you can see some background information on the icon. You can use an emoji if you have, or a letter here, and that will appear in this. You can see this one has been set for chat, and if you click on that, you'll see that there's a range of different icons that could be used, and I've chosen chat for this one. The default is either T or M, depending on whether it's a transcript clip or a media clip, and this is a media clip. It's blue, but I've chosen to have this icon. This one next to it is a viewing icon, so there's some basic information, name and tags. You see comments and user-defined fields as well, if you wish, by just hovering over or clicking this one. So you see more information. So that's the clip nodes, and if I just click somewhere else, then we'll get out of that. And maybe if I add another one now, let's just take this one and add this one. Let's say I want to join these, then if I click one and then connecting line and decide where I want it. Now this connecting line, if I click that, now you'll see we have edge settings that were defaulted in the settings up here on the top left. Now we can decide, actually I don't want to have red, I'd like to have maybe a darker red. You can see it's already changed there. It's a Bezier curve, maybe I want a smooth step like this. Closed arrow, maybe the start marker, I'd like to have an arrow as well. So we can see it's both ways, it's bidirectional. The size, I can increase the size like this if you wish to have a big size. So you can see you can create some meaningful aspects of the line or the edge, as well as the boxes themselves, that will enable you to make an interesting visual representation of your data. Okay, so that's just some examples of things you can do involving different settings. You can also, if you right click anywhere, you can see add node. You can say add all clips from Lego demo DOTEbase. Don't do this if you have a lot of clips, because if you have 1,000 clips, 1,000 will appear here all over the place. It will have a sort of random scattering pattern. So if you've got a few clips, that's okay to do that, but I wouldn't do that if I have more than 10, because you'd get quite a mess on your canvas. But you can add group nodes, notes nodes, and label nodes. So a group node, if I just try that, we get a box. What we can do is if we drop, let's just leave those two there, I'll add, let's say this one. And if we add that one inside the box like this, then when we move the box, they move together. So if I just click on that and then drag the edge, make a bigger box, and just click somewhere else, then see that one is now in that box. Let's say I chose this one and dragged it in the box as well. Then they are all joined together. So it's a group. We can give it a name up here, and then we can add a description as well. So that's now a grouped box. It can be deleted together, it can be moved together, whereas these are individual nodes. These nodes here can be moved inside the box, and if you want to detach them, then you say detach, and then it can be moved outside the box. Otherwise, they are restricted inside the box, so you can have a collection. Once they dropped in the box, then they become attached to that group. So groups are a very nice way of being able to keep things together, move them around as a cluster. But of course you can, if you press Shift and drag, you can cluster things together to move them together as a unit. But that's only temporary until you click away from it, and then you've lost that group. You can also do it individually by right-clicking, and then with the Control key you can click and click on every element, and so when you drag those, they will go together. Okay, so there are ways to group things, select things for certain operations, as well as keeping them in a group. The other two things are a notes node. You see here a note, that's a box. Currently looks like a box, and in that we can type, and we can drag that. We can look up here and see you can have a certain emoji, icon associated with it, text style, shape style. So for a shape, for example, we might want to have just a hexagon, and there we get some sort of hexagon. So it gives you, and we can put this in the center, we can add bold, so we get some means to manipulate, as well as the background color. If we choose, let's say red, we get red color. So you see there's a fair number of choices you can have for a node that's not a clip. So this node can be then attached. If I click on it here, then I can draw a line, for example, to this one here. So and notice the default, it's using the default animated color with one arrow, which is set in the settings. The other one was a label node. And a label node, we can add information in here. If I select it, just getting the right place to select, then we can see it has a shape as well. I have a few more shapes here, a circle, and it will adjust to the text that I've added. You can see like this. It's not so rich a text format as this that can have multiple lines. This is just one line. This is just a label. We can change aspect ratio, you can see. So it keeps it as a circle or not. This is as according to the text that's in it. A border width and a border color, so we can have red again there. So this here is a label, and if we just go up here, you'll see I've used these up here. We have here is one of these labels, and here are these you can see here these group notes and labels. So this is a note, this is a note, and this is a label. So they are useful for creating some more sophisticated graphical representation of your data. The last thing here is you've got download as well. Not only have you got the nodes, you've got download. That means it will take the whole image across all, you can see all of it here, and if I just resize it, you'll see it is now 3 different diagrams. then it will make an image of that, and then you can crop that yourself in an image program if you wish to take out small parts of it. But it will export it in 3 different formats, including SVG, which is very useful if one wishes to keep as a vector art, which means it is very precise rather than just as an image, PNG or JPEG. Okay, so I think we've covered most of the things that I wanted to do around settings, about default settings, and then case-by-case settings. Oh, the last thing to do is over here in the clips. As you can see here, we have a number of clips, but there's such a large number it's hard to figure out which one. You can sort them in different ways. You can filter the clip name, and you can filter by tags. So if you just look at that, if I say I want to look at everything that has visit, then if I type visit, then you can see we've only got those which have visit in the name that I've defined. This is the user-defined field called name. It's a special privileged one that can be picked up here. You can make your own ones, but they won't be picked up here. So I can narrow it down to these are the 5 different visits. So I might want to, as you can see, I have them over here about the visits to the table 2 as she runs over to table 2. So that's one way, is to restrict, and I'll just remove that so we get them all back. Another way is, this is custom, which is a sort of ordering. They're arranged according to how I have them in the ordering in the original DOTEbase. But I could say in terms of updated, this is in terms of when they were last updated. We can also do by name, so you can see here starting 321 and then black, and it'll go to blue. And then we can also do by chronological. Chronological is in the media clips, and here we see media clips. It's by where they occur in terms of time, like are they at the beginning of the media file, and they will end up at the end of the media file here. And this is by first line up to last line. But of course, if this is across a DOTEbase, as we see here, then that means that these are all cases of the beginning of any media file across any project in that DOTEbase. So if you want to restrict it, then this will show you these are the ones at the beginning through to the end chronologically in the media clips, and this is here. If I look at transcript, these are only the transcript. This is from the beginning of the transcript's line number through to the end. So it gives you some idea of temporality and the flow of time in the transcript. You can also decide, let's say I'm in the project or the DOTEbase, I only want to look at media clips, then they're only media clips now. And I could say I only want to look at transcript clips, and it's only the transcript clips. And lastly, tag wise, you can say, for example, I only want to see things to do with table 2. So if I type T and then I have to bring up the emoji to table 2, this is the emoji window in Windows, then I add 2 and then I say yes. Now we will only get everything at table 2. These are all, as you can see, with the tag T2. I could add another tag as well, maybe swearing, for example, and that would add another tag. Or I could say show any clips which don't have that tag. So for example, with color rainbow, if I did that, so color, I need to spell correctly first, color, and then I'll bring up the Windows rainbow, and then I say okay, accept that one. Now it will eliminate all table 2 and which had color. So now we don't see color anymore as a tag. So this is everything to do with table 2 that doesn't involve a color. Okay, so you can see, and we can just get rid of those and then everything will come back. So it's a way of narrowing down and filtering. So it's quite sophisticated, as well as you can decide DOTEbase project or transcript or whatever you have selected in your DOTEbase panel. In the main window, you can select multiple projects or transcripts or DOTEbases, and then those selections will be included here. So at the moment there's nothing selected, so it doesn't show anything. So a nice rich way, as well as the way as if you're working in DOTEbase, you can send to Canvas, and then it will appear down here, which is something we talked about in the first tutorial, the basic tutorial for Canvas. So that's lots and lots of ways of getting your clips onto your canvas, joining them up, making new representations that are helpful for you in beginning to figure out what the phenomena is and how to begin to analyze it, being able to jump quickly, because every single one of these clips you can view not only the relationships between them, but you can jump into them in DOTEbase, the main window, and play the video at that point or look at the transcript. That's the advanced workshop on Canvas.